If you want to help support our channel, head over to Patreon and become a VIP member today.
What's the weirdest movie you've ever seen?
I don't know. Probably one of those fucking movies you made me watch. I don't know.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's what I was hoping for. I appreciate it.
Hey guys, Dustin Bones here, and we're not going to be having a live show at our usual time this week. Unfortunately, Chris, my co-host, the guy you all know and love, unfortunately there was a death in his family, and he is unable to make it in our normal time slot. We do plan on having a Make Good live stream this week at some point. If everything goes according to plan. We're not going to rush Chris to come back or anything like that and get on the air or anything like that. So if time allows, we'll have a live stream some point this week. So be sure to click subscribe and ring the bell icon so you can be notified about it. Click on this, follow this QR code and go to gunsandradio.com and come into our Discord where we'll be announcing any plans that we have this week regarding that. But, just keep Chris and his family in your thoughts right now. I know it's always a hard one, such a hard situation when you lose a person you love in your family. So, just be thinking about our boy Chris, man. We love you, Chris. And, we hope everything's fine, and we hope your family recovers and everything, which I'm sure they will. These things just really, really suck. But I'm not good at saying emotional things, man. I'll start getting choked up if I keep going, and you guys want to have a good show. So here's what we're going to do. In our normal place, I have put together a collection that I'm calling When Worlds Collide. So basically, there's been other shows that Chris and I have either been a part of or other people from other shows have come on to our shows. Either way, this is going to be a collection of not only samples of appearances from us on Old 77, Appetite for Distortion, and things like that, but it's also going to have a few rarities peppered in here that you probably have never seen before. A lot of this footage that you're about to see, some of it has never been released, and certainly some of it has never been seen on this channel. So we hope you enjoy this collection, and we hope you'll subscribe and keep up to date, because we'll be back with another episode soon, and very, very soon. So with that, I'm going to hit play, and let's take a look at our first clip. And this is, we had just got started. I think we were 10 episodes in, and Brando from Appetite for Distortion, he came on and did our show, and we went on and did his show. And, of course, if you've been listening this whole time, then you've already heard the episode that we did with Brando. If not, that episode's in the archives. For the life of me, I can't remember. Brando's been on our show a few times, but this is a clip from Appetite for Distortion, episode 100. I believe it's 154. It's the Desmond Child episode, so go check that out. I think it's called Desmond Child of Mine, and if you want to hear the whole thing, go check that out, because Desmond Child had a really great interview before we came on, and we were just awesome. We thought it was awesome to be on the show and get to meet Brando. We had a really good time with him, so that's going to be the first clip we play. But then stay tuned, because throughout the show, you're going to be seeing more and more clips that you may have not seen before. So check them out, because this is going to be a fun little walk down memory lane for us, because like I said, most of this has never been on this YouTube channel before, so we hope you enjoy, and we hope to see you later on this week. But most of all, we hope the best for Chris and his family. Caputo, you're my brother. I love you, man. and I'll be thinking about you, bro. All right, let's hit play and let's get the show on the road.
The internet. Dustin, where are you from?
I am from Jefferson City, Missouri, by way of Tupelo, Mississippi.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what about you, Chris?
Hailing from the outskirts of Toronto, Canada.
Wow. We are two different ends of the spectrum. I love that. And there's also, because just talking off the air for a little bit, I know, Chris, you're, I'm guessing you're younger than Dustin. Again, I'm trying to create the picture here. And is it, I mean, come on, we're all bros here. I'm sure I can ask your age without offending anybody, just so to paint the mental picture. Dustin, you're how old?
I tell the girls I'm 33.
Okay. And Dustin, how old? Chris, how old are you?
24.
Oh, wow, you're young, and I had no idea. Sorry.
Very young.
I'm an older brother. I have 3 younger brothers, so sometimes I can't help but be that. So it's so hard to find somebody to have a rapport with, not just like in life, in a relationship. You know, what did you guys first talk about? Because I know you said you first recorded, but did you first start talking about, you know, when you first saw the bands? Because you obviously are different timelines of becoming a fan of a GNR. So do you remember what you guys first spoke about in regards to Guns N' Roses?
I was sick that day.
Okay.
The first recording, if we ever do release it, I was sick as... Can I curse?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I was sick as shit.
Oh.
And
are you gonna ask her to curse and you go with shit? All right.
That's my favorite word.
Okay.
Yeah. I was sicker than a motherfucker that day.
There you go.
That's better.
And
I almost did a spit take.
I don't even remember. We bullshitted mostly for a little while, and we talked about. Do you remember, Chris?
Kind of. I think we're just going over just what brought us as GNR fans, like different experiences at shows. Like, I've only seen GNR maybe like a handful of times.
Right.
I know you've seen them a lot more than I have. Well,
I'm 14.
I'm only at like 4 or 5. So.
Wow. I'm with you, Chris. I've only been to, I think, 6 or 7. And that's, that a lot of it has to do with just regular life. I just don't have the means to go to all these shows, but I've done my best for sure since they've come back. For me, it was 2002 was the first opportunity that I had. And I did spend as much money as I was allowed to spend to see them at Madison Square Garden. With Buckethead. So I'm never going to see this again. I had no idea it would be continuing until 2019, and with some bumps and bruises along the way, but it's continued still. So then what was the first show for each of you?
For me, it was 2011. They did Atlanta twice that year, I believe, and I don't remember the exact date, unfortunately, but it was when they did that comeback tour where they took a few months off and then they came back, and I guess it was still supposed to be part of the Chinese Democracy Tour where they were contractually obligated to do X number of shows.
Okay.
And I think it was at the Phillips Arena in Atlanta. And then I got really hooked and went back the next week or so later to Kansas City. That was the moment I became a super fan, was seeing them in Atlanta.
See, that's interesting to me when people have become super fans during the era where it was. I mean, I'm going to use not my criticism per se, but just the criticism of the outside world that it was Axl and a bunch of hired guns, or it was not Axl and Slash. It was not the familiar faces. Even Axl with his braids was not a familiar face to those who hadn't seen him in a long time. To become a super fan then, was it because of the players? Did you become more of a fan of Chinese Democracy, or did that just awaken something and you just ate up the whole history of it all?
I hadn't really given it much of a chance, to be honest with you. I'd always been kind of a casual fan. Like, I had all of the records on my iPod or whatever it was at the time. Well, the way technology changes and shit, I remember it being an iPod, which it may have just been an MP3 player.
Sure.
But I had all of the records on my iPod, except Chidem, and except maybe Live Era, and maybe a couple of songs off Lies, and I didn't really give that version a chance because of what I'd always heard, and but then when I went and saw them live, I actually got talked into going to see them live, and by another friend of mine. And when we got there and everything, it was just the best show I'd ever seen, and I was hooked after that.
That's great. I mean, I think that's why so many, like, it would be so easy to criticize, and there are still people who do, but what he did during those quote unquote down years for Guns N' Roses, to not just be a legacy act and just play the songs with the guy who sang the songs, to create new music that did kind of get out there, and to keep getting new fans. And now I almost didn't go, because that is right after, you remember Rock in Rio 2011? Sure.
That had happened. And that was my first exposure to this version of the band live, was seeing Rock in Rio 2011. And a buddy of mine had taught me to watching. I had to work the next day, and it didn't come on YouTube. Like, we sat there watching reruns on YouTube, and I was like, I thought this shit was supposed to start at midnight. Like, and when they finally came on, and then, like, you know, you get to, without being too big of a dick, like, all of the shit that went down that night, I was like, what is this bullshit? And
I get it.
I didn't even watch the whole thing. Like, I'd had to go to bed because I had to work. So the way I ended up fucking myself on it was I ended up watching just the clips on YouTube that other people had highlighted, and of course they pick out the worst ones.
Sure.
And I was thinking, man, I just spent all this money to go see this, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go because I spent the money. And then when I went, it was nothing like that live. It was very tight, very good, and everything was right on form except the opening act. I've never seen I've seen two decent opening acts ever in the history of GNR. I remember after the opening act going, oh boy.
Who was
I don't even remember who it was.
All right, I'll have to look that up after the fact. What about your co-host over there? What was your first show and your introduction?
Oh, my first show was it was 06. They came to Toronto. They came to Toronto in 06. It was really ironic because, like, around that time, like, I started, like, taking guitar lessons, learning guitar or whatever, and I remember going through my uncle's, like, CD collection. He was getting rid of some of his CDs or whatever, and he had a bunch of stuff. There was, like, AC/DC, some Van Halen greatest hits, but I remember putting on Appetite for Destruction. He had a CD copy of that, and that just blew me away. I was like, this sounds, it's different than anything else, and it's gonna be pretty hard to replicate that stuff. And to, like, still to this day, like, you haven't really heard anything similar to, like, a GNR. You hear all these other bands, like Airborne's now basically a rip-off copycat of AC/DC. There's all these other things like that. But I think, to me, what stood out with GNR and why I'm still, like, a huge super fan today is because they're unique in their sound, and nothing's really similar to it. Like, no one can, back to saying, like, you know, like, no one can really replicate that sound. It's very unique and stands out in its own way. And ironically, when I first discovered GNR, they were, like, in town months after that, so I had to go.
Yeah, man. And I am very proud that I know Toronto's not right next door to Ottawa, but I did 06. I did catch that show in Ottawa with fellow Canadian Sebastian Bach and the Suicide Girls, and that was a great little tour. And that was when I met Bumblefoot side stage, his first tour with the band, and nobody recognized him. He came out in his full Russian winter coat and Russian hat when he was rocking that look, and talk. And I think I may have mentioned this story in the first few episodes of the podcast, but yeah, he started talking to a security guard, and the security guard says to him out loud, "So anybody recognize you tonight?" He goes, "Nope." And I go, Bumblefoot, I'm the only one. And people were like looking at me like I'm crazy. Why are you talking to this Russian guy? Asking him to sign your ticket and take your picture. And then once everyone realized that person was in the band, it opened up the floodgates.
Hang on, we've got a guest coming in.
Oh shit!
Please welcome to the show from the Setlusting Bruce, the man himself, not the Reverend, Jesse Jackson.
Hey guys, thanks. How fun was this? I'm sitting here and I'm editing a podcast, and all of a sudden I get this beep up going, "Hey, you feel like joining us to talk? Sure, why not?"
Yeah.
We'll have you on properly on
I love
the
it.
main show.
Yeah.
This is not your appearance on Guns and Radio.
Okay, very nice.
This is
It's a quick cameo.
Yeah. Well, this is our Patreon show.
Oh, nice.
And we have a bad habit of losing track, especially toward the end of the show, because we do the show, we do the thing, and then we just screw around for a little while. So
Well, very nice. Well, as I hope everyone has checked Dustin's appearance on Setlusting Bruce, that we had so much fun. I ended up having to break it into 2 episodes, which it means either he or I, one, like to talk a lot.
both of us.
Yes, I guess. So it is nice to meet everyone. Like I said, I am Jesse Jackson. I host a couple of podcasts, but the main one you guys would know, Setlusting Bruce, which is a Bruce Springsteen fan podcast, where I talk to people who love music and Bruce Springsteen from all over the world. About 600 episodes and plus.
Oh, wow.
I've been doing this over 5 years, and but I try to break it up. And so if you're passionate about Guns N' Roses or Blink-182, Rage Against the Machine, the episode I was podcasting now is a guy from England that loves both, and he's a stand-up comedian. And so I love talking to people that are passionate about music.
Oh yeah. And I enjoyed talking with you, man. And I've enjoyed the shows I've listened to also since I've been on. And I got to tell you, man, this guy got me to talk about some stuff I have never, ever talked about anywhere.
Like sexual stuff?
Well,
Oh, okay.
You'll have to listen to the episode
I'll have to
find
listen.
out.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say no because I have no shame in that.
Yes,
I talk
exactly.
without being asked. I talked about that at the grocery store in line with some old
So it's just a normal thing for you.
Hey,
Yeah.
I found it interesting. I had a guy that was from Florida who's a sportscaster, and after the show, we finished, and when I tend to record 3 or 4 weeks in advance, or in this case, a couple of months in advance. And when the show came out, he tweeted. He says, "If you want to know who I really am, this is as close in this podcast of me sharing it. Check it out." Which kind of, hey, I'm just trying to talk. I'm just trying to fill an hour. Yeah, this.
That was my experience too. I've never opened up any of that. And it could have helped that I'd been drinking all day because I was sick at the time that we taped it.
And we recorded it St. Patrick's Day, right?
Oh yeah, we did record our St. Patrick's Day.
So,
and I remember there was a bad thunderstorm going on right outside this window.
Yes.
And I ended up getting like every few seconds. I don't think much of it made the edit, but there'd be a boom and a flash, and I'd be like, ah!
Hey, yeah, absolutely.
So I had to close the window so I'd quit getting distracted by the lightning.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely go check out his show. It's a really good show, and I enjoyed being a part of it. We're gonna have him as a guest on Guns N' Radio very soon. I gotta get with you on that, man, because we've just right now our guest list has been packed. But I thought about you when we taped Shotcast Saturday this week.
Yeah.
Because the song that we reviewed is Bruce Springsteen and Axl Rose playing "Come Together."
Ah, very nice. And when I tweeted that your episode, I said it is time for Springsteen and Guns N' Roses to come together, and included that link to that video.
Okay.
Do you know the history or how that came about?
No, I know nothing at all. No. So
Should I tell him here, or should I wait for him to watch the episode?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Shoot.
Yeah.
So apparently, the original people that were supposed to sing "Come Together" was Rod Stewart and Elton John.
Oh, okay.
And Rod Stewart got not caught. I was gonna say got caught in an earthquake. He didn't get caught in an earthquake, but an earthquake happened in L.A. and he couldn't make it. And so I guess Elton John just didn't want to do it by himself. He was like, I don't want to do it. So they asked Bruce Springsteen, like, hey, in like a half an hour, someone's got to sing "Come Together." And Bruce Springsteen was like, no, get out of here. I don't really want to sing it. So they asked Axl Rose, who was a table away, and they were like, hey, like, we need someone to sing "Come Together." Like, we asked Bruce, he said no. And Axl Rose wrote down the lyrics and was like, give me a second. And walked over to Bruce Springsteen, convinced him. They went over the lyrics, like who's going to sing what part. And literally, I don't know how the time difference was, but they didn't rehearse that performance. They just kind of were winging it the entire time.
Doesn't that make you love them both so much?
Yes. I think that's a phenomenal story.
Yeah. I don't. I want it to be true, even if it isn't true, right?
Yeah.
You know, when Tom Petty died, a story circulated around that made me love him even more. Is supposedly during the No Nukes tour, when he was playing, someone pulled him aside and said, "Okay, now Tom, you're playing before Springsteen, and you're going to hear a lot of people. It sounds like boos, but it's not them saying Bruce."
Bruce.
And supposedly Tom Petty said, "Is there a difference?"
Oh, damn.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
And, you know, as in either way, they're saying, get your butt off the stage. We are ready to hear Bruce. And that made me love Tom Petty even more. That he had that much awareness, that he had such little ego to understand that, you know, what was going. So I'm now going to have to watch that video clip again. And just from that fresh perspective, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting. I think I read it in an article like a year or two ago, because I've watched that performance like a lot of times over the last 10 years and always really enjoyed it. But knowing that they put it together literally 10 minutes before it happened makes it like a more rock and roll mystique type. Like, it makes it more rock and roll that it literally just happened.
Well, you know, and one of the things that over the past few years, and I'm sorry, I've taken over your podcast. I apologize, patron members.
I invited you. Welcome.
Yeah. You know, it on the Working on the Dream tour, Bruce started taking sign requests. People would bring requests for songs, and it started working out to a "Can you stump the E Street Band?" And so they would pick a sign, and he would just pick this obscure song. And there is a scene where he was in Australia, and it's a Cajun song called Jolie Blanc, which he had helped work Gary Bonds do. And if you Google it, Jolie Blanc, Australia, Bruce Springsteen, you see him pick up the sign, and he goes, very obscure, very obscure. And he starts talking to the band, and they do this kick-ass version of this song. And, you know, and he pulls over Roy, who's playing the accordion. He's normally the organist. Play it, Roy. And then Susie Tyrell, who plays was on the Rising album with him, and she tours now playing the guitar and fiddle. You know, and they work this kind of this whole thing, and at the end, you know, Bruce is saying, "Say amen, somebody! Say amen, somebody!" And being from Louisiana, I love the song, but the idea that, hey, you know, I picked up a sign and let me just throw this whole band together to do this rocking version is crazy.
All right, everybody, we're gonna sing a song. Sunny day, sweeping up clouds away.
Yes.
I like the potential that comes with, because they see Bruce Springsteen. Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. I love that you're the only one that got that. By the way, you know that shows our age, I guess, versus these kids over here.
It probably does.
I'm older. I'm the same age as you.
He's this kid's like 18. Don't listen to him.
That would be awesome if I was.
That'd be nice. Oh man, but hey man, thank you for coming on and making an appearance. We're gonna have you on Guns N' Radio proper.
Sounds great. Well, thanks for letting me jump
soon.
on.
Hey, nice meeting you.
Yeah, it is nice meeting all of you. As I said, the name of the podcast is Setlusting Bruce. If you have interest in sharing stories about music and what it's meant to your life, please reach out to me, setlustingbruce@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Jesse Jackson DFW, and we can talk stuff. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you. I'll log off and continue having a good time.
See you
Thanks
later.
for coming, man.
Thanks, man.
How did they take it when you started working in herbs and things?
Well, even before that, I was jamming Ronnie James Dio in my room, and heavy metal, the way it was then, really fed my mystical path. And so
you grew up. That's it, right? You grew up in. You would have been your late 20s in the late 80s when everything got good there.
No, right? I was in the late 80s. I was in my teens, mid-teens, late teens.
Oh, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean,
old enough to comprehend the awesomeness that's going on around.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about the hair metal pop. I'm talking about Iron Maiden and Dio and Judas Priest, Queensryche Sabotage.
I like all of it.
Yeah, I do too. But the fact is, so I had all those posters on my wall, and of course, Motley Crue looked a little intimidating. And one day they tore them all down. So I became very angry, rightfully so, because I was always being told that who I am was evil, and I wasn't even doing anything evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. This is like in that rock and roll is the devil era.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, so that was more like 13, 14 when I was really angry. And then when I was 15, I met this lady named Karen who owned the herb shop. Her son was my best friend, and we were into all the same things. And at her house, it was all cool. It was just like, be yourself. And so I had like a really serious spiritual awakening around that time. Like, she really fostered who I was and, what she saw in me, and that I was in a family that could never see me. Not that they're that bad, there's plenty worse out there, but it was like kind of a toxic environment, really, just because of their views clashing with the ones I was born with. So
it makes it suck though for the well-intentioned people.
Yeah.
Because this stuff was true for all I knew. This was part of the world, but there were really good people in churches, and then there were those that were just culty and hateful.
Just for the record, I've met the most amazing, generous, wonderful, giving, really like Jesus is cool. I mean, I'm not anti-Christian. I'm just not that type of chains on me. No, I've already shucked and shimmied those chains like an old dead snake skin, right? Gone.
And I'm noticing that in a lot of other religions, like Christianity, they're not, you guys aren't really like that toward them like they are toward you a lot of times. Have you ever had a psychedelic experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've tripped on acid and I've done mushrooms.
Okay, so now when you add this extra sense that you have into this ability or into this situation, what is that like?
Oh, how would I even try to explain that? I've seen a lot of my own past lives. A group of friends we were doing that together. We all were having a collective past life memory. Now, these are all people who do this work, and
so does that help?
Huh?
Does it help? Is that there's something to that? Because I've heard that I've always heard that helps.
Yeah, I would think that it does help, but it's not something to be relied on, because also it just opens up everything. And there's the difference between hallucinations and intuitive guidance, but it definitely does magnify that if you already have the training and already have the ability to discern the difference. That's my word.
So it's not something you want to do. Like, you're not going to get reliable information from just letting go and being in this this experience. You got to kind of hold on to reality.
You're not automatically going to, but it does happen. But so many things happen in that state. Just like, just because you get a message from spirit doesn't mean that message is true, because there are mischievous spirits. It's all about trusting yourself and trusting whether the divine, and even if you're an atheist, which I read for atheists too, and it's all about tapping into a certain symbology that helps you make a transformation. And that if you're listening to some, I don't know, I've had an experience with weird spirits where they're just trying to cause trouble, or, they're like making fun of you or something. It's the only way I know how to describe it. They're not messengers from beyond all the time. They're not automatically a divine guide. It does happen, but it's just not always that. You still have to have that true line to the starry realm and whatever you want to call it, divine, God, goddess, the universe, the higher power, whatever.
Welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, man. It's about time. I mean, you had this guy on like months ago. Now you got me. So we got the full Guns and Radio.
We do.
X old 77 kind of like crossover invasion.
Yeah, maybe crossing it over, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
I think this is only the second time we've ever done this.
Really?
Yeah, I
done a
believe
crossover
with another podcast. Yeah.
Well, we did Nothing Lasts Forever. We did Brando, so this is the third.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be the third time we've invaded someone else's podcast.
Right
on. We come up in somebody else's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we roll in like the DX tank,
Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So for folks that don't know, Dustin has a podcast called the Guns and Radio Podcast. If you've been listening to this show, you already know that. And Caputo is Dustin's partner on the show.
How did you guys meet? Because we didn't just go down the street and get Caputo. We had to, make a call to candidate.
We had to call Black for that one.
It's a whole story. I mean, I know Dustin, I believe we've mentioned it so many times before. Like, it was just you threw out a blast, a message on a Discord server. It was a GNR Discord server, and I just saw this guy. Oh, who wants to do a Guns N' Roses podcast? I think was I the only one who actually messaged you?
You were the first one that messaged me. I think I got other ones, but by the time another person messaged me, you and I had what we call episode 0.
Yeah, because we had the little 30 minutes on Skype there, so see what introduce each other, get that chemistry rolling.
We thought that if it takes off and we decide to do the podcast together, then if we started from the very first time we ever spoke, and we recorded that, we'd have that. That'd be a cool thing to have documented.
That kind of would be neat, right?
For the purpose of the podcast, and we recorded it. We never really released it much anywhere.
Yeah, but that's cool though. That's a cool little thing to have in the vaults.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had Chris and I had chemistry instantly, because you have a lot of people that are good friends that don't make good podcasts.
Yep.
Buddies,
Yep.
And we had such good chemistry, and other people did message me, but by then the position had been filled as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking no more.
Yeah.
Well, me and Scotty were talking today. Well, we were talking about you, Dustin.
Oh Lord.
And one of the things that I mentioned to Scotty about podcasting is it's just as important to know when to shut the fuck up, as it is to know when to talk. And I feel like you're good at that. You're good at listening when it's time to do that.
I don't think I did last week.
No, that's okay. Last week wasn't the time for that, but when we had Ethan and Brittany on and you were learning new things.
Oh yeah.
You sat back.
The Paranormal Society.
And the paranormal people, you sat back and took it all in, asked questions when you had them, but yeah, man. So you guys felt like you had instant chemistry?
Oh yeah,
How many episodes deep are you guys now?
Oh god, Caputo knows. 100. We just taped 180.
Damn.
Yeah.
But there's more than that, because if you count Shotcast Saturday, it's more like 300.
How often do you?
Well, not 300. It's probably close 2.
I don't know. How many Shotcasts did we do so far? 60, 70?
Have we done that many? Jeez, I still think we're at 27. I don't ever get count. We've done so much shit.
Do you guys record weekly?
Yeah, we haven't missed a week.
Yeah.
Now we've taped in advance.
Yeah.
Like we're going to do next week?
Kind of like what we're going to do this Friday, right?
Things are getting crazy at work for me and Scotty.
My God.
Hell, when COVID hit and we didn't know what the fuck was going to happen, we sat down. We had what was called the lockdown sessions.
Yeah.
And we sat down, and this was in our first season. We recorded 8 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't know what the fuck was going to happen.
Just so you had something in the bag.
We did that too for a good little while. We had a month and a half recorded ahead of time.
Oh,
It was
now
like, whoa, we got to stop.
if we don't tape this week, there won't be an episode next week. That's where we're at, and that's fine.
That's where we're at too.
That's the space to be in because all of your topics are then at least only a week behind if you're
right.
You got that buffer,
right?
Which is a lesson I think we did learn. And
so what's new up in the Great White yonder?
Not much. We're all just living, surviving.
How's the COVID rules up there?
It's much more lax now. It's pretty much just like there's no masks, no worries, none of that shit. So it's pretty lax finally.
That's pretty much
finally
how it
kind of getting back to normal a little.
Dude, like in America, the CDC just came out a week ago and finally said like you don't need to social distance anymore. And I'm thinking like, who the fuck has been social distancing?
I thought they'd have been.
Nobody in this state. Yeah, put your hand down, Scott. Yeah.
I'm way the fuck over here. What are you guys talking about?
That's true. I guess we're almost socially distanced.
That's not 6 feet, though.
You're using different kind of... I'm using man math. That's like 155 feet right there.
This is acceptable sleeping distance. I don't know if this is acceptable.
I mean, I would
COVID
feel
distance.
Borderline comfortable pissing at a urinal looking that way.
This is urinal space. There's a good urinal between us.
Don't you dare get in between us, Dave.
Watch out for the backsplash, boys.
I had like 40 hot dogs while we were in Chicago. I wanted a hot dog and a pizza. That was the only things I required.
Did you get a pizza?
Yes.
I didn't get one.
I was not impressed.
Oh, really?
I'm a New York man. I like my New York style pizza.
The hot dogs were good though. But
the hot dog. Oh my god. Oh man. Yeah, because I got you one too.
Yeah, man.
That day.
Then I went back later that night. He got me one at that little diner that was across from my hotel, dude.
Mine was Devil Dogs, is where I got mine from.
I remember looking at this hot dog and I'm thinking like, what in the is this? Like, what is this on this hot dog? I've never seen a hot dog like this before.
The relish, the bright green relish.
The peppers. I mean, whatever the heck they put on it, man.
You have to have a level of trust in somebody that hands you that hot dog to try that.
Yeah, you definitely do. I've never had a hot dog like that before, but I had probably about 6 or 7 of them for the 2 days I was in Chicago, dude. They were pretty good. Good.
Mexican Independence Day was this weekend. I don't know what day, but they celebrated it all fucking week apparently. Our first night we get back and we're sitting down and we're eating at, I think we had pizza the first night, Becky and I. And we start hearing all these horns honking and stuff. And at first we think it's just normal city ambiance. And we open up the window and it's just like this massive parade going on. They're waving the flags. They're getting out of the car, dancing around and shit. And just look like they're having a really good time. So we watched all of that go down the first night. Now I was thinking naively that this was a one-night event and how cool it is that we got this spot to come see this one time, and thinking after that it was over. Well, Rick came to town the next day. Yeah, and that's
so I get into town, dude. I came solo, and I remember getting into town, and then I met up with you and Becky. Didn't I come to you guys' hotel?
I think so, yes. Because I came to your hotel the next day.
Yeah, so I came to you guys' hotel, and then I Ubered. I Uber everywhere. I will not take no public transit.
See, I took public transit.
See, you trust you. I don't trust people, bro. I don't trust people, man. No. I will not get on no public transit. I'm gonna get in my crappy Uber. There's some Ubers are nice, but
well, how is that having more trust to complete strangers getting you in their personal vehicle versus you're getting on a public transit with cameras everywhere and
I don't know, dude.
Shit.
I guess it's just like big cities. I don't know. It's just you never see anything good happen on a subway or on a bus, dude. You just never see like you always every time you see like footage from stuff like that, you always see people getting mugged and just nothing ever good happened. On these.
That's because the only time something interesting happens is when something like that goes on. 99% of the time it's boring. Like you just sit there. It's like being on an airplane. There's nothing going on. You just sit there.
But my Uber driver, my first Uber driver, told me, yeah, it's told me about it's a pretty dangerous night in the city. You know, there's a lot of gang rivals. There's a lot of deaths. You know, but you're in a good part of town. You're good. You shouldn't have any problems.
Yeah, you should be fine. Yeah, surely.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely sticking to Uber, bro. I'm not getting on no, especially after having a warning like that. Yeah, I'm gonna make it home. I want to get home. But so yeah, man, we get to meeting up. I ate that bomb hot dog you gave me, and then we're like, let's go walk around. Let's go check out the city.
Becky wanted to go see a water fountain.
That's a nice water fountain, by the way.
Yeah. And I need to point out that my girlfriend led us through all the chaos. But first, before we get there, from my point of view, we go outside and we're hanging out behind the hotel for undisclosed reasons. And
Medicate.
Yes, I needed to take my medication. And
I had to help him.
Those suppositories suck when you're by yourself.
They do, absolutely.
So we come around, and I'm thinking again. I'm just hearing some city ambience, and we come around the hotel, because Becky's outside now, and she's meeting us up front. So we go around the block, and now all hell is broken loose.
It wasn't like that at first. We were walking pretty straight at first, you know?
It was clear. Like, when we first went out there, that this was not happening. It was like somebody flipped a switch, and boom, there was the revolution.
Dude, I felt like I didn't know what was happening. It was pretty cool seeing it, but then whenever it was just like, your personal space got smaller and smaller and smaller to you're shoulder to shoulder with people walking. You're like, and you see like people on top of their cars waving these flags. You see children riding down the street on cars. I'm like, what?
On the hood of cars.
I'm like, who would let their child on the hood of a car in Chicago?
Well, in all fairness, they weren't going more than like 1 mile an hour when they were moving anyway.
Well, again, it might just be me, but I'm not letting my child on the car while it's moving. I'm sorry. That's just not me. In Chicago, no.
At least let her sit on the sunroof and dangle her legs in the car, so if shit goes down, you can just grab her legs and pull her back in, you know?
See, I'm like that overprotective parent, dude. That's just not going to be like, if there's a risk, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put no kind of risk at all. I'm like, zero risk when it comes to my kids. Now, with me, I'll risk. If it's me, I don't care. I'll risk whatever, you know what I mean? But when I got my children now, I'm playing it safe. But, you know, like walking through here, dude, like I remember we were like in this parking lot or whatever, this little parking area, and then see all this smoke happening, and then there's just this car spinning out nonstop, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Nonstop, dude. The cops just sitting there watching it. Hell yeah. You know, you're like, what? Like,
yeah, even the cops are cheering them on. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
I thought we were seeing a revolution. When it first happened, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I thought that somebody, because when you see in these cities, somebody gets killed or fucked up by the police, there's always these riots and shit like that. I was thinking, God damn it, what the fucking police done this time?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Why did I have to be in town when they pissed them off?
I thought like a Hispanic person or something got shot by a cop, and then we're just sitting, like, all this was happening. And we're like, what? But no, it was
like, I didn't know though. Like, I didn't have the piece of information that we were celebrating and that this was a good thing the first night. So I was a little nervous. Now the second night I had that piece of information, but I was still fucking terrified because it's a weird situation to be in. And Becky, my girlfriend, she's running off and leaving us like in the middle of the chaos. We're having to like stay close to her because the only way we can cross the street is that there's a female going. And
I remember I had my cell phone out, dude. I was like, I just put it on like the face front, and I was like, filming myself walking through this crowd because I'm like, man, if anything happens to me, I'm keeping this on video because this is crazy, man. Like you can't even get across the street. And I remember when we made it to the fountain, from all the way from one end of the road to as far as the eye could see, dude. The traffic wasn't moving. And then at the same time, like our buddy Mason was on his way.
Oh yeah. Mason was coming. Mason Frost, who you've met on other podcasts on here. He was coming to Chicago. And we were supposed to meet up with him that night. Oh yeah, remember we got to the fountain and then Becky wanted to go cross that 8 lanes of traffic that was back to back, and I said no, and I pulled.
That's the road that was like the traffic wasn't moving, and it was like as far as the eye can see, dude. Like I've got all these videos still saved, and it's just.
Well, she wanted to keep going past the fountain, and I was like, "Get fucking real! No, we're going back to the hotel. That's it."
I know, but the next day, dude, across that street, it did look pretty nice. I was like, man, I kind of wish we kind of went over there because it was like a little beach or something. What was it? Was it? I don't know what was it? A lake or something?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I didn't fucking go.
Big ass body of water.
But no, dude, fuck that. Like, no, in the middle of the night in Chicago, when we could have got mugged any fucking way, I'm not gonna go even further and press my luck. No, fuck that. We went to the liquor store. I bought a bottle of something, came back to the hotel, and even that was a goddamn struggle. Getting from the... It was almost harder to get from the fountain back to the hotel.
Yeah, it really was, because at that point, walking to the fountain, we didn't have to go through, like, making our way there, and then start getting bad until we almost got there. And then on our way back, it was just full capacity.
The whole time.
Yeah, it was just nonstop.
But people were good to the pedestrians. I would say that. Like,
yeah.
We didn't have to sit and wait on traffic. They were stopping and waving us through, and they were united in that front that we were going to get to cross, and we were saying thank you and everything. And
if this would have been in Memphis, if this would have been in Memphis, we wouldn't have made it out.
If this would have been in Memphis, I would have not left my hotel.
No. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking of like this being like Memphis or something, you know, and that's kind of where my mind was. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel, you don't go out in Memphis at nighttime.
No.
You don't even go in daytime, dude. You don't even walk.
Some parts of Memphis you don't.
I mean, you really don't, dude. Like, you just stay away from Memphis. Like, you just drive through there. That's it. You just drive
Bill
through
Street. If you stay on Bill, like if you're touring and you want to check out Memphis, if you go to Bill Street, it's not so bad. Bill Street is really good. If you get off of Bill, you fucked up.
Yeah, you definitely did. I'm sorry. Yeah, you did. But you know, Chicago was fun, dude. And then, but honestly,
but hang on, before we move on, I want to tell this last part of the story.
Oh, let's hear it.
Because there's still plenty of Chicago talk here before we move on and change topics. You remember? So we get to the hotel. And we both check our phones, and we have text messages from Mason telling us how close he is because he's still unaware of anything going on. And so we're like, do we tell him or do we let it be a surprise? And I made the call. It was my call. It was a dickhead call, but it was my call nonetheless to let it be a surprise. And I said, bro, I just don't think it's going to happen tonight. Let's meet up tomorrow instead. And he goes, why? What's going on? I went, you'll see. I mean, and then poor guy got stuck in all of it. He was in the middle of it.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad I got there when I did before it hit, because, I mean, that was just, I've never seen anything like it. But, I mean, it was cool, though. It was pretty fun. I'm not going to lie. You know, looking at it now, you know what I mean? It was definitely a sight to see. And it's pretty cool seeing that celebration happen, because you don't see that here in Mississippi, at least, yeah.
No. Becky said that this is how we look to other countries on the 4th of July. And I was like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. America.
So you made it back to your hotel, and then the next morning I had an adventure on my own getting to you, because you offered me free breakfast at your hotel. And so who's going to pay for breakfast when you can go to your buddy's hotel and get it for free?
But
not me.
It's not just any breakfast, dude. It was just the Skyline breakfast. That it was
See, I didn't know about that. All I heard was free food, and I was in. And so to get there, now I took public transport, and it's funny because your wife called me out on something here in a minute. She's gonna make a cameo in this story. So I get on. To get to Rick's hotel. There's a 3-stop plan. I've got to get on the subway, take it to the bus stop, get to the bus stop, take the bus. Well, no, 2 stops. Take the bus to the hotel. We're done. So I take the subway. Nothing happens. All boring. I get to the bus stop and I'm like, wait a minute. The bus ain't here. And I'm standing there waiting on a bus to show up and I go, what's going the fuck on? Then I realize, oh, I'm at the wrong bus stop. Right across the street right in front of me is my bus. So I have to go around so I can take the crosswalk to get to the bus stop. By the time the crosswalk let me over, the bus was gone. Just as I was getting to the bus stop, the bus drove off. So I was like, well, fuck. So I looked on Google Maps, and it was a 15-minute walk from the bus stop to your hotel. Or I could wait 45 minutes for the next bus to come around to take me there. So I went, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to walk. How bad could it be? Well, at first, it's just Chicago City I'm walking through. Everything looks good. And then I start to see less and less people around as I'm doing this walk. The buildings start to look more and more run down. And then I come across one of those tunnel-like bridges. And I'm looking down that tunnel, realizing I've got to walk straight through this. And I see one person in there kind of lingering around. And so I go, fuck it, free breakfast. And I get on Facebook Live with no explanation, no talking, no nothing. And I start broadcasting my walking through here. And while I'm on there, and because it took a couple of minutes to get through this creepy ass tunnel, while I'm walking through there, I see Ashley's watching, and she's like, "What's going on here?" And I'm like, "Nothing, just walking." And then she's like, "Okay," and she's like, question mark, expecting me to say or do something. And so I get through, I turn it off, it's all good. And now on the other side of that, we're back to decent looking city. So I continue my hike, and I get back to the hotel, and I've got another message from Ashley, and it says, "Were you just broadcasting in case you got mugged?" And I said, "Yes, that's exactly what I was doing."
Me and Mason were laughing so hard about that too, man, because he was saying the same.
Well, what else was I going to do? I mean,
because Mason was watching it too, man. Like, and I watched the video. I'm looking. I saw Ashley's comment. I'm like, it's pretty smart, Dustin.
So I get to the hotel. Rick lets me in. We go upstairs. We get a very delicious breakfast. And we go out to the balcony to eat outside because it was warm outside at the time. And the view of the Chicago skyline and the water and everything is just fucking beautiful. Like, that was the most beautiful scenery I'd seen since I had been there.
Dude, that's what made that hotel awesome, man, because like when I wasn't in my room or like out with you, dude, I went up to that roof every time, dude, just to chill. Like if I needed to, just to go outside for anything, I'd go up to that roof, dude, just chill. It was just, those chairs were relaxing. It was just nice.
It was a beautiful area, though, just looking at the skyline and hearing the faint city ambiance in the background and the water. And since it was far enough, you could still hear the birds and things like that over the water. And yeah, that was a very a beautiful place.
All right.
So Caputo, survival situation. Okay, we've all been there. You're taking a deuce. You look around. There's no toilet paper. Nobody's home to get you any, and you haven't been to the grocery store all week. What do you do? Go.
Well, see, is it a number 1 or number 2? First things first.
It's a number 2. It's a number 2. You're sitting on the john. And you know what? You've been sitting there for a minute. You're starting to get tingly, numb legs. And you're like, okay, I better put my phone down and wipe. And you've discovered there's no toilet paper.
Oh, shit. Well, I'm going to find the nearest towel or 2, use them, and then probably burn them. Because I'm never going to fucking even wash them or use those again. So there you have it. Fuck that. That's it. Use a towel, discard it. I have like 10 more there. It's all good. A hand towel doesn't fucking matter.
I don't know, man.
A moist towelette. I don't know. Something.
What if you're in the woods, man? Like, let's say you're on a hiking trip and you have to excuse yourself and there's nothing around. What do, man? Are you going to use some leaves or...
You got to grab the biggest leaves you can get. Either that or, wipe your ass up and down against like a tree or something. It's going to hurt. But like, that's your best bet, I think, at that point.
Like Beluga from the Jungle Book.
Listen, put on a show for no one else to see. Just that tree is going to get some real wood up in there,
I wonder if I can find a clip of Beluga from the Jungle Book scratching it. You ever farted in an elevator?
Actually, I have once.
Was there anybody in there?
There was one other person, and I'm just like, you just do one of these, you're like, it's like looking up, or like I'm just looking at my phone. Acting like you're like totally oblivious as fuck to it, and it works.
What is this mysterious smell?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, that was from the guy before. Trust me. Someone else left that mark in there. No, it's not me. I swear to God.
Oh man, one time I farted in the elevator and I was by myself, and the door opened on the floor. It wasn't my floor to get off on, but I got the fuck off on that floor because the door opened. It was my boss, and when I say my boss, I'm not meaning my direct boss. I mean like president of the company.
Oh my God.
And he stepped onto the elevator and I bailed the fuck out.
Take that, bitch.
Place is behind a bookshelf.